I am just getting, or I'm going live on Instagram to let people know that I am live streaming on YouTube and why I will be doing this going forward. Give me 1 second. So, I should have done this first. Sorry. See, lessons learned. Subscribe to my YouTube now. Right? Meow. Okay. All right. So I am going live on YouTube and I wanted to talk about what I'm working on and kind of the reasons why I'm shifting my path or my format of my content a little bit. So, if you've followed along today, and anyone who's on, please join my live stream on YouTube. I'm going through the whole reason and rationale as to why I am working on building up my YouTube to 1K. That's a goal that I'm striving for. And if you followed along to date, you know that I started my digital entrepreneurship journey as a means to break free of the constraints of the corporate world. Having my time owned by someone else, being a working professional mother with 4 children, it's hard to manage it all, right? And then having the constraints of a corporate world, working that 9 to 5, which really isn't even, I think the demands are worse now. We're expected, because of technology, everyone's expected to be able to be accessible all the time. And I just don't, that's not for me. That's not how I want to live my life. So I knew after 15 years in the corporate world that I did not want to continue down that path. However, I was not sure how, what I was going to do. And I've taken courses, I've read all the bestsellers and on everything. I'm a, self-help junkie and self-improvement addict. So, that goes along with my journey, but I didn't know what I was going to do. All I knew is that I just wanted to stay authentic to who I am. And as a woman, as a mother, as a pop culture junkie, self improvement addict, like I mentioned, and as an entrepreneur. So the way that I started was I started live tweeting during Bravo shows because I just love Bravo. And I had this shame about it for a long time where I just something I wasn't quite sure why I felt so shamed, and it didn't dawn on me until COVID, when I decided, you know what, I got nothing else to do. Well, actually I was taking care of a bunch of kids, but I wasn't working professionally anymore at that time, and everyone was watching TV, so I figure why not just like dive in and go in head first. It wasn't until COVID I realized it's my father who would call it like trash TV and all this stuff. And that's what was holding me back really, or were his comments, which, if like when I look at my father's opinions, like my father actually is the biggest, like, he is guilty of being like a pop culture, like someone who's been affected by pop culture and who loves reality TV, even though he doesn't want to admit it. He still to this day watches all those judge, like courtroom shows on TV, like Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, all that stuff. He is consistent and he gets into it and he gets worked up over it. And like that's, to me, I find more interesting because the emotional reaction that people have from watching these shows is fascinating to me, because we got people, we're all watching the same thing on TV, but we all may be interpreting it in such a different way. And it says a lot when you are triggered emotionally by something you're watching on TV. And it's like, wait a minute, let's dig deep a little bit. Why are we so triggered by, Marlo saying that candy is not worldwide? Let's dig a little deeper, So that's what I love about Bravo. That's why I started live tweeting. That's why which was so fun. It was like, oh my gosh, I found my people. These people speak Bravo. We know how to talk to each other. But I also found it interesting that there's so many different types of Bravo fans. And that to me was fascinating. And then the fact that there's people who have created their whole career on watching Bravo, like Brian Moylan. I interviewed him. I was on the beach in Jamaica reading this book, and I was like, damn, this guy, he literally made a career off of watching Housewives. And that's fascinating to me and amazing. And so while I'm there, reading this, and I was just like so fascinated by him, I thought to myself, because I just finished season 1 of Bravo and Blaze, my podcast, and I thought, why don't I just reach out to him and ask him if he would mind coming on the show? Because I find this very interesting, like his journey. I think it's so cool. So he came on the show, and that's been part of my journey growing Bravo and Blaze. And like things have just grown and they continue to grow. And it's all coming from an authentic place. And I think, even if I don't like, a lot of people like to, focus on their numbers, but really you don't need to focus on your numbers when you're just having a good time and doing what you enjoy doing and connecting with people who are fascinated by the same types of things, or maybe they're open to hearing different views on the same show that we're watching. Like that to me, I'm all about, just taking a step back and learning from each other and growing. And that's what's been really fun for me. Anyways, so I started by live tweeting. That turned into making memes that I started posting on multiple platforms. And then that turned into making merch, which you can see some of that here. One of my first merch items, is this grandfather MFer mug in honor of Mary Cosby and Jen Shaw. But and then merch grew, and then I turned it into doing a weekly podcast. And at this time, I was a full-time stay-at-home mom. I have no childcare. We're in a pandemic. I didn't know what to do. How am I going to do a podcast when I have kids around me all day? Like I needed at least one day. So I begged my parents, my retired parents, to watch my youngest one day a week so I could just start putting out my podcast. And I knew that I couldn't expect some huge, big production. It wasn't going to be perfect. But over time, I knew that the repetitive, motions of doing this podcast weekly would help improve my skills, at the very least. That's literally what my intention was. Let me just do this once a week so I can get my thoughts out. It was almost like a little bit of therapy, and I can, do what I enjoy and see where it goes. And at the very least, I'll improve on my editing skills, my audio editing skills, which I haven't really used since college in like 2004. I'm dating myself. I'm 40 years old. But anyway, so I started the podcast not really, with any intention other than this is my format, this is my niche, this is what I love to do. I knew that I wasn't going to try to be like a news reporter on Bravo. I'm not trying to be like, oh, breaking news. Did you hear this? Like you'll probably never hear it first here, but I do stay up to speed with everything that's going on, or at least I try to. And I like to take a step back and think about these things like, wow, what does this mean? And like some of it's entertaining and funny, but some of it's deeper and some of it's like these are real people, don't forget. So I don't know. Anyways, the podcast, this is a problem that I need to work on. I go off on tangents, but the podcast wound up reaching number 8 in the top 100 indie TV reviews charts, according to Good Pods, which I was so shocked about. I mean, I'm still in shock pretty much, but that was that was amazing. I mean, in less than 4 months doing this 1 day a week, I was able to accomplish, something that I never even thought I was even on my radar of accomplishing. So, it's been amazing. At first, I was just doing audio, and because there are different, if you look at different platforms of reaching people through media, there's social media, there's your own website, there's email, there's all different forms. And podcasting really is a unique type of communication and way to reach your audience because they're typically more educated, have higher incomes, and are more engaged. And they actually will, um, they people who listen to podcasts, they have like almost a loyalty to the people that they are following. So it's a very unique relationship and I respect it and I love it. And I don't want to ever downplay the relationship in a podcast. So, however, I am focusing on building my video content on YouTube with a goal of reaching 1K subscribers. I don't know when, I didn't really like do a time frame of how quickly I want to get there, but let's just say like by BravoCon, I hope that I have at least 1,000 subscribers. That'll be my goal. So like 2 months from now. Oh my gosh, BravoCon is in 2 months. Whew. Okay. So I just want to go over why I decided to focus on YouTube. So one, I realized last week. So my old format was doing a, do I want to keep this here? My old format was doing a weekly podcast audio podcast episode. And then I would have guests come on who I was interested in, either, like a Bravo Leb or another Bravo podcaster or Bravo fan account, just anyone who I thought was interesting. Yeah. So that was the plan. But then I realized my life has changed. So, like, school ended in June. My 12-year-old, it's summer, it's summer vacation for her. She's with us in July and then with her dad in August. So, like, that changes the dynamic of my daily routine. And then also, we have another child who's going to college. And then my 4-year-old is in daycare every day, but my 2-year-old is not in daycare every day. So my schedule is still like fluctuating and I'm like a habit or a creature of habit. I love routine. So I've been all whacked out and like just trying to stick with my old schedule and format of this once a week, podcast episode. And then it dawned on me last week, like I don't have to stick with that. That's one of the reasons why I chose this career is that I can structure it however I want. But with that, I want to make sure that I'm not taking away from what I'm already providing to my existing audience. So, why am I choosing YouTube? YouTube is extremely powerful. I mean, for the past 15 years, YouTube's growth and strength is increasing exponentially. There are 1.7 billion unique monthly visitors on YouTube alone, and 62% of those users access YouTube daily. So this is like become the new newspaper, or if you think back in history, like times are changing. We have to think about how technology impacts how people retain information. And now YouTube is, I mean, that's just like the way that the trends are moving towards. Oh, I don't know what that is. So also it's the second most visited site in the world behind Google, which is their parent company. So, I mean, keep in mind, my philosophy on building a digital business is don't ever rely on one platform, but know the strength and how to utilize platforms for whatever your goals are. And so that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. So essentially, I mean, there's other statistics that go with YouTube that can continue to reinforce why I'm deciding to go with YouTube right now and focus on that. But my main goal is to reach as many people in the world as possible so that I can spread the word on my cannabis advocacy, not my cannabis advocacy, but cannabis advocacy for the world, and, try to educate people on what a cannabis consumer really looks like, or give a glimpse into what it's like to be a canna mom so that we can debunk the stereotypes and modernize the perception of cannabis consumers, especially for moms, parents, and professionals. I mean, let's be honest, probably, I mean, the majority of people are cannabis consumers, okay? But the problem is nobody wants to admit it because of all of these issues, like potentially getting your children taken away or losing your job. And things are changing in the cannabis industry and in our country with legislation reform that this is we don't have to be ashamed or live in the green closet anymore as cannabis consumers. In fact, I've interviewed a lawyer in New Jersey who has informed me, I have it on record, that New York and New Jersey have passed a law or bill or whatever where um, child protective services or agencies are no longer allowed to use THC as grounds to take away their children. Granted, there's still ways that I'm sure people can try and like use that as an excuse for something else, but at least we've made that improvement. And now we know that New Yorkers, people, what are New Jersey people called? New Jerseyans, Jerseys, whatever you call them. Actually, now I'm like stuck on this. What do you call people from New Jersey? Anyways, just know that if you were a parent, you cannot get your children taken away based solely on THC. As long as you are a good, safe, responsible parent, they can't use that against you anymore. And that is huge, 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 huge for the cannabis industry and for our culture and our society in general. And I want to just help, spread the word, because technically, because cannabis is federally illegal, these big networks, and hopefully YouTube doesn't shut me down, but they're legally not allowed to advertise any kind of cannabis or anything like that. So this is kind of like YouTube, and me talking about it is kind of like a workaround. And I hope that doesn't get used against me in some way. But we're moving towards a place where hopefully it becomes federally legal within the next few years. Until then, we're still fighting. So, anyways, another reason why I'm focusing on YouTube is I want to provide transparency so that we can all take the lessons learned in my journey. Don't forget that content creation is a relatively new industry that anyone can create a business off of. You can create a living off of using technology if you use it the right way. And I can say wholeheartedly that I 100% believe in the power of technology and that there's enough room for all of us. That's why I don't feel like there's ever any competition if I've had people say like, "Oh, that's another Bravo account or whatever." It's like, great. I hope there are more Bravo accounts. If you want to make a Bravo account, make a Bravo account. But also know that once you gain an audience, hopefully you're using that for something good, something bigger than yourself, you know, some kind of advocacy or fighting for some kind of injustice. Um, that's my hope. Isn't that the dream though? That you can just be yourself, do what you love to do, use technology to your advantage and live. That's how you make a living. Like, that's amazing. So I really want this to be an opportunity to be fully transparent. If you are watching, please leave a comment, um or ask a question on, like, why am I doing this? Just please, whatever you do, just please be nice. Like, I have feelings, okay? But also another reason I love YouTube, or that I'm focusing on it, is because I'm a numbers nerd. I love to apply best practices, industry standards, proven strategies to achieve results. My background in the corporate world was with Accenture, Capgemini, and PricewaterhouseCoopers slash PwC. And I thrive in an environment where we are trying to reach measurable or SMART goals. And 1,000 subscribers is an actual number that we can measure against. And YouTube has a ton of analytics that we can use to measure and see, okay, what's working, what's not, and not in a way that's like, oh, let's just do whatever gives us numbers. Like, well, how does that align with what I want to do as well? I think sometimes people can get caught up, like if they go viral one time, they got all these followers, they get excited, they don't know what to do, and then they're just trying to appease this new audience that they've gained, when in reality, if you're not loving what you're doing, no one really cares to watch, right? So, anyways, I made the decision. I'm focusing on growing my YouTube right now. And with that, comes a change in the format of the content that I'm currently producing on my podcast. Like I said, I typically have one weekly podcast episode, and I truly value my audience, and I'm not trying to take away anything that they're already getting. So, what I decided to do, I thought about this a lot, and I'm going to continue live tweeting because that's fun for me. I don't even think anyone cares, but I like doing it. Um, but I'm going to continue doing that, and I'm going to continue making my memes because that also I love to do. I'm going to share those on all my short video formats, so TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. And instead of weekly podcast episodes, I'm going to do multiple shorter podcast episodes throughout the week and do recaps of shows, interviews with Bravo Labs or Bravo podcasters or Bravo fan accounts, and other special guests. Sometimes I have, like, seems random, but like I had Randy Wentworth from Snowflake Mountain on Netflix because I watched that, and that's like pop culture. So whatever, it's relative. And he's a wrestler, and I love WWE. I think that's maybe I'll make that a goal someday to be a wrestler. Just kidding. I think that ship has sailed. But also I plan on doing some behind the scenes, and also I want to share my strategies, tips, tricks, and all those things so that whoever wants to can build their own online empire. Like, this is not something that I'm trying to hide from anyone. I want to share this knowledge so that you all can do the same thing. Like I said, I truly believe there's room enough for all of us. We're all unique. Nobody, even if somebody came in today and copied every single thing that I do every single day, they're still never going to do what I do or have the same level of passion or be able to give examples or scenarios of lessons learned from my past. Like, I encourage everyone to just do whatever you want to do and stay authentic and have a bigger purpose and bring value to your audience, and you will be successful. It's a lot of work, but I'm not afraid to put in the work. Anyways, okay, so I hope I'm making the right decisions. We'll see. I still want to continue engaging on Instagram. Instagram, you're my people. Like, I'm never going to leave Instagram. So your girl is still here. But what I am doing is I'm adding more engagement on YouTube now. So I hope that you comment, subscribe, and like. I see there's nothing about Mary short films. How are you? It's good to see you here. Thank you for joining. Um, and if you have any tips or constructive feedback, like I mentioned, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Just please be nice. Okay, so I'm off to do a Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. That one I'm not going to live stream those. I think I'm going to do a little bit of editing because I'm going to use those same video recaps as, oh, it's Mary, aka Bravo Chiefs too. Hi. I'm going to use my video recaps as the audio for my podcast for my podcast audience so that I don't lose anything. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to subscribe and share the channel with anyone you think that would be interested who is a YouTube junkie. I said G. Okay. Bye, everyone. Yay, Twinks was on. Tie-dye Dave. Yay, can we have it? Oh, Cream now is there. Can a mom show the world? Yes, that's true. You have 4 kids. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm going to head out now. Bye, loves.